KLM both looked at this control panel and says, you know, everything in here is outdated. You're running on contacts and transformers, and soft starts are what everybody's going to now. It's more protection with the soft starts. It protects it from electrical surges, lightning, and that type of stuff. So I'm working with them trying to get prices on rebuilding the cabinet and stuff, but I've got two different people trying to get me prices on that. So,
Were they able to verify that it was lightning that burnt those pumps up?
yeah, with everything that's going on, it wasn't just the pumps, it was some other stuff in there.
Are we gonna have a, insurance claim on here?
We need the invoices, that's what we're waiting on. If we replace them, what they
Yeah.
costed, then it'll be, should be covered under
Yeah.
Collins and Company.
Yeah. One of the last things at the sewer plant, when all of that got hit out there, was the high school lift station. There was it's a flow monitor meter is what it basically amounts to. But the head to it in the panel, they quit working the same night that the pumps and everything quit working. Whether it was related or not, nobody really knows. Vaughn got us a price of like $3,800 for this head unit. So we started shopping around. Rick's Electric out of Mayfield, came down, looked at it, and he said, man, the part's a lot cheaper than that. He said, I can get the part, put it in for $2,000 instead of $3,800. So it Friday, he came down, put the part in, and everything started working on it. So we're good on that now. That was part of our process is seeing how many gallons are treated at the wastewater plant. And we had no way of knowing, you know, about this piece of equipment here. But I think that's on the letter, Robert may mention it on the waiver that we got on the sewer side. That has something to do with that too.
Right, keeps those part of the low percentages of it.
On the water side, we actually, one down here today. I talked to Kevin and they're working on the deal up in Marshall County. And every time they get close to finishing, they add more to them. But if they can get through that, I think they said they'd like 600 more foot of putting in some pipe. But when they get through that, they're supposed to come down and start our leak survey again. Going around checking for leaks and stuff. When they were here a couple of years ago and did it, we saved like 19 million gallons of water a month just by fixing some leaks that they found. So they actually got rained out today in Marshall County and came down and tried to find a couple of leaks today. So we're still chasing that deal down. We showed 22,423,000,000 cubic feet of gas came through the meters from May 1st to June 1st. That's down a little bit from last month, 25,305,000. But the temperature has been warmer and stuff, so you know, you can expect that. Street department, we did hire a couple of guys for the mowing crew, to be on part-time status. With all the rain, we've been getting behind, so it's just gonna be a struggle trying to get everything caught up. Yeah, let's see, they're back behind the seawall, trying to clean up some of that stuff, getting ready for the 4th. Water up and down, so every time it comes back up, it washes in more stuff, but we'll get it before the 4th. The lawnmowers, he called and said they should have been here at the end of last week, but they're coming out of Michigan. And they're gonna bring them to Clinton, and they have what's called the twill tires on them now. It's a hard tire, it doesn't have air in them. And we didn't order those on the mower, so they're gonna take them off with regular airtight tires on them, and then they'll get them to us. But it was supposed to be the end of last week, so there's any day on them. That's what we're hoping anyway. The 3 Kubota mowers, we've got one that is running pretty much every day right now at the cemetery. The other one, I went and got the rest of the parts for Friday, and they'll get it together one day this week, and then we're gonna go get that big mower and then service it like we did these 2. New blades, battery change, or it has a new battery on it, new blades, oil change, air filters, hydraulic filters, all that kind of stuff. So, we're getting somewhere on them board.
Good deal. Anything else? Any questions for John? All right. Move on to economic development report.
And Mark included a report in your package, I'll hit the high points that apply to Hickman. He attended a weekly projects update call with community ventures and attended the Canadian National Science Education meeting with GLS Consultants and had lunch with Austin Farrell, who's the director of the Call Me Mister program at UT Martin. The Call Me Mister program is a program for young professionals at UT Martin that are pursuing degrees and such, and we do have a local person, Lamary Stratton, my assistant pastor at my church. He is part of that program as well. Of course, Mark attends the bi-weekly Rural Partners Networks call with local leaders and federal partners and community ventures meetings and stays in touch with that. We had he had a presentation with representatives from the Life and Knowledge Exchange Network, and this provides opportunities to share experiences and things like grants and stuff that we may not know about down here, but they may know about in another part of the state or another part of the country. We might be able to apply for them to get some outside money for some of the things that we need. He also attended a North Delta Economic Alliance Downtown Redevelopment Summit in Illinois. And, on the grocery project, we're still working on, hoping to hear soon about some funding mechanisms for it. We do have someone interested, as everyone knows, but he's hoping to hear about funding for it and getting to work on that project. We think that's probably one of our bigger hurdles, is once it's funded, then things will start moving quicker with that. Hopefully we will have a grocery store in here before the year is out. He's also working with, rail projects in both Hickman and Fulton, and, continues to work on the housing with community ventures. We have some potential housing in Hickman, and, I'll talk a little bit more about that in my report.
Can I add any quick? That's the only thing y'all been working, no other
That's the economic,
jobs or nothing?
that's the economic development director, that's what he's been working on. He works for the whole county, he's not an employee necessarily of the city of Hickman. He covers the whole, both counties, Hickman and Fulton counties, that's what he's been working on.
I will add, there's openings at Tokai right now currently, and Instill is advertising for positions. But I
Okay,
can't
people telling me, ain't no job here for me.
Well, there are jobs available.
You got a lot of convicted felons here.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I understand.
It's a lot of them.
I understand. Next, we'll move to new business. First order of business will be a discussion and appointment to fill the vacant city commission seat of Robert Griggs. It'll be filling that position through December 31st, 2026. We had announced in the meeting where Robert, had resigned his position for people to contact City Hall with interest in filling that seat. I also reached out to, we had 4 people that were interested in serving in this seat to be appointed to it, so I'd asked them all to create a short bio that was distributed amongst the commissioners. They've had that for a week now, I believe, to review and everything, and tonight we'll need to get, a discussion and, a motion to appoint that seat.
Motion to appoint James Bridges.
Okay, well, I got a motion to appoint James Bridges and a second by John Wild again. I was gonna say that I feel like any of them
Yes.
would have been a great asset.
Very hard decision.
Several of the names on there are very active in the community at this point in time right now and do some vital things. Joseph is with the, Rotary and tourism, chairman of both of those, president and chairman. So, we do appreciate it.
All 4 of these resumes was good. It's kind of a hard decision, to come up with one, not decision with who they said he was, but we had some good ones. Jeff Wilkerson, plus Joseph, and, all these resumes were good. So that's the decision that we made motion and we accepted.
Okay, I have a motion, for James Bridges to be appointed to fill that seat, and seconded by John Martin.
Commissioner Amber? Yes. Commissioner Gaines?
Yes.
Commissioner Holloway?
Yes. Sorry about that.
Mayor Carlson?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you know, the rest of those fellows that we had on the list, I think it would be a good idea, once we get this ethics committee out, we have James, that all of them will be very good candidates to start filling those seats.
Next, we have a discussion of the EMS door project at the police department. EMS had, Kington EMS has requested that a door be installed at the fire department for rear access to the bay doors. In your packet.
There's photos, and that they sent this packet over, it's a rear entrance to avoid unnecessary workload of the bay door. The EMS employees park the back of the building, and of course, if shift change, they leave the bay door open while personnel arrive and leave work. So there's safety concerns, and there's also security concerns there for the building, and also it does stress the bay door.
Okay. I went up and looked at it, and I'm gonna ask your opinion. My opinion is I feel like that door needs to go into the bay and not into the
Actually, I totally agree with you.
fire department, from the fire department side. Y'all have, I'm seeing cabinets here. Those are all your cabinets?
No, they belong to them, sir.
Yeah,
They do. And I believe, looking at it, there's a way we could reorganize it and ship it around and fit a, what, 30, how big will the door be, 36 inches? Or
Probably,
Yeah, I believe they've got a 36-inch door, they're looking at a 36-inch door. They're looking at something, obviously they want something that would be, an exterior door, would be a good quality door. And they're looking to, they're going to put the expense, they're looking to fund it, so.
Have you seen that, all that stuff from them?
I've briefly talked with Jordan and Ashley, and the plan that they presented to me was in the fire training room or squad room, whatever you call it. And they briefly talked about taking the window out and making it a doorway. That's about honestly all I know about it.
So, other occupants of that building.
Our chief normally
What-
is over the building for a big part of it, he's done a lot of work on the foundation and everything. I'd like to hand over a lot of this to you, refer to you and our fire chiefs or other architects.
I mean, I don't mind helping with anything, but
I really what we need is
honestly, in the fire room,
just to
so I
choose
I
the
think it would
location
be
of the door.
on them.
What works best for the fire department? Does it work better for the fire department to be next to the bay door?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go to that extreme. I had mixed feelings about it on both ends. We have a door on the far east side now, on the back of the building. It has issues with closing. It has been left open at times. I really think going into the squad room, like Ryan is talking about, would be more visible. You could see more if it was open, you could see if somebody was coming in or going out, from inside the building. Where if it's in the bay, I mean, it could be left open all day too, I don't know, I mean, that's. Either spot would work, I mean, we could make it work, as far as where we're concerned. It doesn't really make a difference to me, as far as where we put it.
I think if you were to put it in the fire training room or whatever, you're gonna have to build a concrete walkway to it. If not, they're gonna be walking through grass and mud trying to get from their car to the building, cause there's probably a 10-foot stretch of grass there.
They've got that included in there.
So,
I didn't know how that would affect, like, when you're having meetings or something in that room.
Shift changes usually at different times.
Alright.
We have meetings in there now, and they're coming in and out, and
So that's not,
fixing dinner and everything else, so it's, we're used to it.
so I guess what I'm feeling on this is just wherever they want to put it. Fine.
Or my part.
Okay. Got that?
I will get that back to them, cause I know they wanna put it in the training room, is where they really wanna go with it. They prefer to go there and take that window out and just replace it with the door. So, I will let them know.
I'm sure that doesn't structurally impair the building any more than it already is. Alright. Discussion on the new billing system.
We had a resident that had requested a while back and requested again about possibly moving the due date to the 15th. I don't know if that person is on the portal that they acquired, but I know the portal allows you to see the bill as early as the 28th of the month. So that gives you like 12 to 13 days. Of course, if you're relying on the mail, it's a little bit hit and miss. They did go out on the 2nd this month, but I know he was kind of disappointed because it still only gave 8 days before the due date of the 10th. And, but that's something that I'll leave for y'all to, that's a commission decision, that's something the commission would have to.
I think that's something that you need to run through the office to see how it would affect your, accounts payable.
I talked to Alicia about it today, and she said that if she has to manually pull every account and look at a leak report and everything, it would push back being able to mail out the bills. It would mess up her whole system.
I think the portal allows a decent amount of time, and look, the mailing of the bills coming from out of state now, you may see an improvement. I don't know where they're gonna be mailed from, but they were here in a timely manner this time. So we may give it 6 months and see what the trend is, and come back and look and see if we need to do something like that. That's what I would like to see happen. City manager report.
Alright, just what all we've been doing, this month, it's been another busy period. With the bluff, Morgan Albee with Senator McConnell's office came down and toured the bluffs with me. She reached out to the Corps engineers, and I also reached out to the Corps engineers, and Donnie Davidson with the Corps returned my email, and they're going to send field staff down the second half of this month to review the situation. Also had Austin Weatherington with Congressman James Comer's office down here, and he toured with me, trying to get some eyes on it, because this is not gonna be something, the bad news to this is we're looking at a long-term project. No one has a quick fix for this, there just doesn't exist. It's gonna take some time and planning and, considerable amount of money to do anything with it, and that's what everybody's assessment, and I've had, we've had between Corps of Engineers, these people, and state and federal agencies, we've probably had 25 eyes on it. A little bit of good news during the Rural Partners Network meeting, I was given some information on the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and they may be able to help develop and fund a project to mitigate the erosion. And the first step to that is to send a letter of inquiry to the state conservation officer, and that has been sent. They're also supposed to contact me later this month possibly with an independent engineer to tour the area thoroughly and begin developing something. But we do have eyes on it. We have people people working. Congressman Homer, they gave their support in any way that they can to get this project moving. So did Senator McConnell's office, whatever they can do to try to get this moving. Like I say, this this is not, there's no quick fix or Band-Aid or anything, it's gonna have to be something that's gonna take a little time, a little study to do, but, we do have eyes on it, and hopefully, we can see some breaks in it here soon. On the sewer plant, we received some good news, from the state. We're no longer, we used to have to submit a request, used to be sanctioned and had to submit a request to add in sewer water infrastructure. But we have been taken off the waiver list. Our effluent flow is below the limits, allowed by the state, so we were taken off the list. A little bit of good news. Still a lot of work to do. David and I got some information on a grant, for wastewater treatment. We're gonna be looking into that, as there are multiple improvements, that if performed will increase capacity of the wastewater treatment plant, and it'll help with some of our infiltration problems that we're getting from rains and such. David and I also set a webinar with Symmetry Gas, that's our natural gas provider, about the short-term and long-term future of the natural gas market. We're watching prices, and we may buy some ahead. We tend to do that sometimes to shield customers from the typically higher prices that you see in the wintertime. Try to help everybody out what we can. We've just hired a couple of people for mowing, as John said, and we'll list them on the next meeting, because we literally just hired them. We're gonna be interviewing for some other positions and filling spots, and hoping to move forward soon with some things soon. Danny came down and visited me and David from the water plant, and noted that some small pumps are needed. He's getting some quotes from Blue Book on that, and we're gonna approve that. They're about $1,500 a piece. Vaughn is also sending us a quote for some much needed lighting at the plant, and we have some additions to our bigger projects out there. At one time, the big projects was the clear well and the standpipes, and now we have the dehumidifier and some improvements to filter number 2, going on. So we got quite a bit going on out there too. As David and I was pointing out today, one of the bad parts to the water plants, we're really trying to focus on the big project, getting the old plant back running. And he said that many meetings, that, because the plant that we have is nearing the end of its life. It serves its purpose, but we'll keep going with it, and keep working toward producing good water. Park stuff, I'm getting some estimates to replace 2 sections of bluff fence. It's about 24 feet that are the biggest concern right now. One of them has a gap in it, and the other one's not very high, so that's kind of a hazard. We won't get those replaced. Jackson Fence out of Mayfield provided me a rough quote. Sent photos to CNC Fence out of Benton last week. I've also got a group out of Paducah that I've tried to make contact with. I'll try to make contact with them again and follow up this week on that. Try to get moving on that bluff. On parks, I'm meeting with Brenda Weaver with Community Ventures on the 23rd. One thing we're meeting about is the housing addition in Hickman, but we're also having a brainstorming session about other projects, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff to add to that. They have a matrix of a bunch of projects, and right now Fulton dominates the matrix because they got on board first. Just kind of like what happened there. So we're a little bit late to the party, but better late than never. So I'm gonna be adding some projects, including some park improvements. And Rural Partners Network Community Ventures has had some success getting some dollars for park improvements. So we're hoping to do that. One of my dream projects, Tim has mentioned it before, a recreational type center. That's something that is definitely could be of use here, but it's not something that you're gonna be able to throw up in a few months. You're gonna have to really, you can kind of look at Paducah and their big project, for an example. We would be a smaller scale, but to get outside money to do something like that, you'd have to show that you could equip such a center, and you can maintain some trained volunteers and follow. You got safety, health, and legal things you gotta do. You gotta show the budget of what it will cost and how you're gonna fund it, how you're gonna meet that budget. But I believe Hickman would have to partner with some other entities. We'd have to talk to the county about it, because you've got a lot of people in Brownsville that would be able to use such a thing. Your school system, such as that. But I also think that Hickman's remoteness might help get us some funding for something like that if we wanted to pursue it, and we can get the volunteers and get the interest in it. Again, I'm gonna ask commission to reach out to some that weren't chosen to fill my original commission seat, about the ethics board and get that rolling. We need to get that board formed, and again, if anyone is interested in joining that board or any of our boards, please call City Hall and leave your name and number, and they will be in touch with you on that.
That's a 5-member board.
And the ethics is 5. And then we'll have to talk about developing a parks board, and like I say, I'm gonna reach out to Mike at Fulton and get what they do and see what Union City does, cause I know most of the towns around us, I think even Clinton has a parks board. Cause like I say, the towns with parks boards seem to have better success at getting outside money for their parks.
Where do you apply for the ethics board? I'd like to put my name on there.
Just contact, for the ethics board,
Yes, sir.
contact City Hall.
Okay.
Tomorrow, just anytime. Tomorrow, contact them and they will take it down.
Thank you.
But like I say, you know, on the parks board, you know, that's something to get outside money. The towns with parks boards, I was reading this under KLC was really pushing that. Because like I said, the towns that have parks boards tend to get money over towns that don't. So that's something that might be kind of important for us.
That's good.
Mhm.
So the town don't get money from the federal government for the
No.
park?
Not very often.
Not very often.
I don't know the last time we got federal money. We got some state money from the
State
parks
money.
for playground equipment.
Hey, Mr. Griggs, if I ain't mistaken, from previous meetings, it was said that there were several audits behind, and that's why a lot of the grants come through. Is that accurate?
State grants, but not federal.
Oh, but it is multiple.
Some grants. yeah.
Okay,
Some
but that
grants-
does stop a lot of them, right, from being multiple?
That can stop it.
Okay.
It stops some of the grants. It doesn't stop all of them. Usually federal grants, it doesn't matter. It's just that one of the reasons why we haven't gotten on the radar for federal grants is part of it's a part, not having a parks board and not having you have to have, for federal grants, you really have to have you really have to have a direction. You have to have a very specific goal in mind.
You have to have a master plan.
Yeah, a master plan.
Gotta work.
Mhm.
When they generate for the grants on the federal side, they have to have a
And that's
master plan
something-
for the parks.
And that's something that we're partners at work with community ventures, cause I know Fulton's got that on there, cause they've got a master plan, but they're wanting to
Okay.
update it. And so we can definitely get on there with us to get a master
So
plan.
there is no money for the parks now available?
Not outside money,
I'm
not
talking about from the state.
from the state.
Like, I guess I'm asking, why is the park still looking the same as if it hadn't been getting money for the last 20 years?
Hey,
That's
T,
what I'm asking. So I'm asking, is there any money now that y'all can put into the park?
We have a little bit of money in the city, but not much. That's
Why
it.
hasn't it?
how much? I know
don't
that's
care how
open.
much. I just wanna know why hasn't it been put there?
That's open information, Tim.
Haven't been allocated, but, you know what I'm saying? Why haven't the money been put into the park?
Oh, the city puts a little money in the parks, but most of it goes up to mowing and upkeep of them. You go through mowing it every week and trying to keep it updated and stuff like that. It sucks the city share dry. The city puts about $5,000 to $10,000 in the parks every year. But the problem is that mowing and upkeep of the parks and keeping the.
It's public works.
Yeah, public works clean. They clean up, they clear church down. Like I
I'm just
say.
asking, I just wanna know what we're
And
saying.
the other
Cause it
thing-
sounds good what you're saying.
Yeah, and the other thing last year was, last year, they had to break up, they had some trees fall, and we had to pay to remove them. Now, we can't, Public Works can't do that. We had to outsource that, and that cost quite a bit of money. It was- I can't remember exactly.
How much was that? How much was that? Like you said, because I know that's public. How much is in like the funds
Oh,
for the
usually-
park?
Usually, it's between $5,000 and $10,000 a year. And Rotary has also helped, the public, has also helped in the past with playground equipment and such. But it has gotten expensive, so, we do have problems with that. But the city doesn't, like I say, the city doesn't have a lot of money to put in the parks because, we're having to put it in our water system, we're having to put it in our sewer system. Cause you gotta have clean water, you gotta have clean water, you gotta have, sewer's gotta be working. You gotta keep the natural gas system flowing, there's just not a lot of money there for parks, unfortunately, on a local level. So we're trying to reach out and do some things to get some money on a bigger level, because that's what's needed. We have gotten some complaints, I know David was talking about this on blighted property and mowing and such, and we'll be working on that some. Do need some help from the commission, we need to start looking at the past policies on blight and KRS and stuff, and seeing if we can't, review the ordinance and make some changes to encourage residents to take care of property. One difficulty we're running into is some property owners live way far away from here. And it's very, very difficult to do anything other than taking the property, and then the city ends up being responsible for it, and we sink more money into a property that, you know, is not gonna sell for very much. And that again takes money away from parks, it takes money away from infrastructure, it takes money away from other things we see. Update, I got a couple more updates, and I'll be doing, I promise. On the audits, last week, CRS sent us a list of 31 items they're gonna need to complete the audit, and we're getting specific information, we're compiling that, and then it will go, that should be done here soon, and now we'll go to reading company for the audit. And then we'll be done with that, and then CRS, I have to provide a contract for future reconciliations past that. Again, we're gonna have to schedule 2 special call meetings for the first and second readings of the budgets, of the budget coming up. We wanted to give a few, I wanted to give a few days, then we'll do the first reading tonight, because I wanted to give a few days for the new commissioner, being Mr. Bridges, to receive a copy of the draft and ask any questions you may have about the draft. We did have an OSHA inspection at City Hall, and City Hall did well. We had one minor violation that's since been corrected. And Alicia and I are looking at a mass notification system for the residents, and we're looking at additional uses for it. One thing I got asked about as a city commissioner was a siren system. There are 3 issues with the siren system. One is the cost. Get one that's loud enough to hear it outside, not in your house, outside, would cost the city roughly about $120,000. The second issue is that there's not much grant money for sirens. FEMA's gotten away from that. They're trying to take everybody away from sirens. Sirens are a comfort measure. And of course, the third thing is the siren doesn't tell you nothing. You know, it's just you don't know whether it's a storm, it's just a siren, it's just a noise. So we're looking at a mass notification system that would pull data from the utility billing customer list. And that way it would provide much better data. You would know what's coming this way, you would know what's happening better, be better informed and such. And of course, it would also work for utility matters, it would work for road closures. We're looking at that and seeing if that might be something that might benefit the city. Like I say, that you could fund that for many, many years for what you could buy a set of sirens for. And that's all I've got for now.
Is there a need for the executive session?
When I'm working with Lynn as a cemetery thing, I'm working with her on.
Any commissioner comments?
Any updates from the state highway department about how long, what their plan is on this intersection down here? Are they gonna close it completely to traffic? Are they gonna tear out one bridge? Are they tearing out any bridges? Or do we have a plan that?
They have been very mum on their plan. They have not talked as much.
Well, I understand it's gonna be in 2 sections more or less. They're, last I heard, they're gonna build a bypass kind of around the bridge and take it out in pieces and put it back in. But
Well, a lot of
Time
people
frame,
ask
I don't
about
know.
it, and I'm just curious myself.
I'm kind of curious too. I may contact somebody and try to get a little bit more detail as to what they plan on doing, what the time frame is, because that is gonna top that intersection.
it's gonna be right in the middle of correction season, time it's over with.
All right.
That being said, I did see that portion of the middle road is gonna be closed down from 1125, that bridge up there.
Right there, Union Church Road.
So that's for till August, starting tomorrow, so that'll be shut down.
So it's like right in the middle.
Cut across.
Start going on today.
Anything else? Right, come to a motion to adjourn. A motion by Commissioner Holloway, seconded by Commissioner
Commissioner Amber,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Holloway,
Yes.
Mayor Carlton.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Maybe I can ask you, when they tear this bridge out down here, you know, right down here, how's our semi truck supposed to get around the target?
That's why I was kinda asking.
I mean, we can come up 94, but.
Come up 94, and I didn't know.
So,
if
no,
there's-
she didn't
I
read
asked-
Richard. You wanna read it? You want, I know
Cars
she-
and stuff, and
I
asked,
seen,
can we come up 94, still come down 7th? That's what I.
We have a state farm, but I've heard today.